Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. I'm your host, Phil Friedrich, and today I'm honored to have Donny Baker with me. Donny is a farmer, a videographer. He's growing in the social media space, and one of the cool things about his story, and we'll talk about this here soon, is works with a nonprofit called Farm for a Cure. And so excited to talk a little bit about what he's doing there. So Donny, thanks so much for being on today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
You bet. So to kick off your story, a lot of people in your family line were good athletes, and that was no different for you. So talk a little bit about growing up and playing athletics, and maybe some of the life lessons that you were learning, maybe before you realized the life lessons you would need them for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we grew up doing sports. I did gymnastics was my big one when I first started, and I did that for like 7 to 8 years. So a lot of people don't know that. That's why I still can do backflips and stuff. So at my size, it's a fun little trick. Usually not try to do it when I'm drunk, but I sometimes do. But no, I mean, sports were huge. We grew up around it. Football, basketball. My parents
Yeah.
were just really want me to be in anything that I just love to do. So my dad was coaching, he would help, and my mom was a big believer in anything outdoors. Let's just go do it. So that's kind of how it all started. My grandpa was a really good athlete. I've heard many stories. One of the best athletes around my area, small town Nebraska. So, but he was good. So my dad always says it skipped a generation. I'm like, I think it might have skipped two generations because I wasn't throwing up the numbers that he threw up, but definitely I had a good class that I grew up with in high school. We ended up winning the state championship in basketball. That was huge. Made it to
Yeah.
semifinals in football, and then I went and played at college at Wayne State College, a D2 school in Nebraska. And then after that, went to do some semi-pro at the Bandits, and we won two championships there. So it was fun little. I love team, so it was just like that's how I grew up. That's what I did in high school and college, and then now building companies and doing everything team related. It kind of flows everything together. So it kind of makes sense in my life. So
Yeah. So clearly it didn't skip a generation because you've had a lot of success. But one of the things that I think is super interesting is everyone's always looking to grow a team, be better, whether that's in the business capacity. If you look at your family dynamic as a team, are there certain aspects about teams that you played on that achieved at the highest level that really stand out to you about, yeah, this was a common thread of why we had success?
yeah, I think it's just believing in the overall goal, right? And the relationships that we build together. So it's just everything. It starts in the weight room. It starts in meetings now, but everything is together. Everybody's on the same page, and we got the same goal, right? If it's winning a project or if it's winning a game, it's just that's how we believe it. And so
Yes. I love it. Now, for you, looking at the sports career, you went through a position shift in college. And, I think there's anyone that's played sports knows that that's a difficult thing. And anyone that hasn't played sports can understand that if you got a new job, you had a good set of skills, but now you have to learn a whole new set of skills. So talk a little bit about the idea. A friend of mine, Johnny, who came on the podcast, explained it as like the BCA curve. You were pretty good. You had to maybe take a step back, but by taking a step back, you actually launch yourself to be an A better than you maybe could have been in your role as a B. So talk a little bit about that for you and your role change in your football career.
yeah, no. So I started out at a linebacker when I went into college, and then I got moved to H back, which is like a tight end. But and that's I really liked offense, and I was really good in high school at offense. But in the sense of our personnel change, we didn't run a lot of 11 or 12 personnel, so we didn't use the tight end very much. So I was like, told the coach, hey, I really want to, possibly go back to defense. I think I just get more playing time there. And at the same time, we had multiple injuries at defensive end. So I was a little smaller for defensive end, but they were like, okay, let's run it there. So two of us actually running back at the time and me both went over and we started playing DN. So when we ended up playing our junior and senior year, at DN, which was a lot different because you're 235, 6'2", 235, going up against like a 6'6", 330 pound, mammoth that you got to go every play against. So it was just that switch that you had to switch on. And like I said, it was just, the difference. I played 8-man football, so that was a lot different than like, hey, drop back. This is your area on defense. In college, it's like if this guy goes in motion and this, and it's like, and it was a lot more brain to go into it. You just couldn't just hit your head against the pavement and just go. So it was a lot more to get into it. So it took you a year, it took you some time to get used to it. But once you did, you kind of you knew your position, you knew your role, and you just stuck there. So it was good. It was fun.
Yeah. Now you've kind of always had this entrepreneurial bug. And so as you had gone through the football, world, you decided, well, maybe there should be a website or an online portal where we can test out, high school kids, have them upload their information and get sought out by colleges. Great idea.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, that was kind of my first kind of entrepreneur business, I guess.
Yeah.
It was Train for the Next Level was that company, and we went out, did testing for high school seniors, juniors. We had the testing equipment, the electronic testing, everything state of the art, and we wanted to make it affordable because there was a lot of kids that just couldn't afford the $200 camps to go to the colleges and get noticed. And there was a lot of guys that ran through our program that really did get noticed, and that we ended up going and played college ball. So it was good. I like that.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that in regards to, today when I list off what you're doing, that wasn't part of what we're doing today or what we're focused on today. And I think for a lot of people,
Right.
they have an idea, but they're afraid to pursue it. And if they have pursued an idea, but it maybe didn't work out the way they thought, that stifled their uh ability to attempt the next entrepreneurial endeavor. So talk a little bit about, overcoming that or saying, hey, you know what, here's what I did learn. Here's maybe things I wish I would have thought of or done differently, but I'm willing to try it again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to get mentorship.
Mm.
As me, I went there, as Train for the Next Level. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, I got this idea. This is going to be fun. This is going to be good. And I went running. I actually went up to, was going to go to do a meeting up in Wayne when I was playing, not playing, but like back to the coaches
Yeah.
that they could help me out. And I met with Todd Euler, and he had a company out of Norfolk called Set the Bar Fitness. I went in there and we talked for like 2 or 3 hours, and then he became my business partner. Like after that, we just knew it clicked. He knew the idea, and he had the upfront capital for the
Yeah.
testing equipment. I had the manpower to go out and do that. So we partnered together, and it was good. So that was kind of how it worked out, right? You find people that he was 15, 20 years older than me at the time, right? So
Yeah.
it's finding those people that have done it, that know it, and just kind of, use your energy and your drive to push forward. So, and like I said, business is tough. I mean, I've started multiple businesses. I mean, if I count, probably 4 or 5 or 6 different businesses, and like I only have 3 right now. So I mean, they're not all going to be the winners, or be able to buy the private jet or all that stuff that people dream about. But it's getting your feet wet, and it's learning from the mistakes, and doing things that was, that drives your passion. Because I was always passionate about sports and training and stuff like that, and so that was kind of what drove that first business out.
Yeah. Now, for you, I mean, it sounds really simple to say, oh, well, start them. If it doesn't work, move on. But, for a lot of people, that's, almost a crippling thing for, the next endeavor. Maybe that just completely derails their entrepreneurial bug at all. So, for you mentally, how did you work through that? Was it, having that mentor and talking through it? Was it just, you know, stemming back from a football career of, hey, next play, next man up mentality? Or how did that kind of work for you on the mental side?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just grinding through it. I mean, it's finding, so I went from Train for the Next Level, and then I went into the gym at One Up. gym in Lincoln, the gym I own still today. And that was the thing, was I met these guys and they were interested, and I partnered up with them with Train for the Next Level, and we kind of traded some percentage
Mm,
because it was both kind of nearly startups. So that's
yeah.
kind of how that started. What happened was we looked at the gym and we looked at the Train for the Next Level. Our overhead for Train for Next Level was like nearly nothing.
Right.
For the gym, we had rent, we had employees, we had a lot more stuff. So we were like, we only can focus our time on one.
Mm,
So we ended up kind of putting this on the back burner, and we kind of stuck with the gym. And that's kind of how that feeds into the gym, turned into me picking up a camera for the first time, which, everything happens for a reason. And it's just like, if I didn't do the Train for the Next Level, I wouldn't have got the gym. The gym wouldn't have. We were actually creating an app, and we wanted to focus on us showing our stretches and different things for these younger kids on this app. And picked up the camera. We started shooting some fun stuff, like crazy things. Just usually stuff that you would never see today. I'm just like, man, I was terrible back then. I was just going all over the place and filming stuff, but I'm like, this is fun, and I actually liked
yeah.
it. So what we did was we split my partner with one up. I focused on the video, and then he focused on the gym, and we had two companies there that we kind of spread our angle at. And then it kind of just went into me doing video all the time, and we kind of butted heads. Every partner is not exactly ideal for the other person.
Yeah.
So we're still partners in the gym, but we ended up splitting on the video side, and I just went by myself because I was just like, I can just do this on my own. I don't really need to be building this with anybody. And sometimes people would think that that's wrong of me, but I think at that time it was just a smart move. And I was like, this is what I want to do forever. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to start on my own. So kind of just went out, started camera on my own, and kind of ran with it. So
Yeah. Now, I like how you said, when I look back on some of the early days of what I did, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck was I doing? But I'm sure also a month into doing it, you felt the same way, right? So let alone years later, you're constantly growing, you're constantly getting better, but it takes repetition. So, for you in that space, talk a little about the growth of the business from, hey, I literally just picked it up because we needed we needed someone to do it, to actually growing it as a successful business.
yeah, I think everything has to do with your passion and drive. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, but I knew when I picked up a camera and people started telling me, like, where did you go to school? Like, did you go to school for this? Like, people were like, this is not normal. People don't think like that. Like, they would
Mm,
read a script to me, and I would say, this is how it should look. And they were like,
yeah,
how did you learn that? Well, so those things started triggering my mind, like, okay, I'm actually talented at this, and I actually can see a future in it, and actually, get paid well for
mm,
what my expertise is in it. So I mean, I just kept driving, driving, driving. I'm a YouTube got my YouTube degree in filming and editing and everything like that. Just, if I didn't know it, YouTube it, right?
yeah.
So it's fun nowadays because I'm like, a lot of people are like, hey, we got to go to college. It's like, I have a criminal justice degree. I have
Yeah,
multiple different companies, very successful stuff going on, um, but not using my degree. But I wouldn't take back any of that time that I learned with playing football, building the
right.
relationships, and just the more, I think, the relationships and knowing how people react and how people are and reading people. I think that's
Yeah,
the best strength that you can have as an entrepreneur, because you can read the sales when you're in the meeting. You can read the motions, where to pivot and where to turn, where to maybe crack a joke, right? So it's
yeah,
just, making people feel comfortable and want to work with you. And it does help with me being a Nebraska farmer. And I'm like, hey, we do everything on handshakes and stuff like that. That always helps my business. But,
you bet.
so
So taking that piece, hey, I'm a Nebraska farmer. Talk a little bit about the ag background, and then I know eventually you do a little farming in a different country. So talk a little bit about how that all comes to be.
yeah, so actually after college, after I did my football up in Sioux City with the Bandits, I was like, okay, got to go do something. Let's get it cracking. I went up, actually chased a girl to Wisconsin. Didn't work out. It was like a couple of weeks later, came back, and right when I came back, I was like, I want to just do something. I want to go somewhere because I just wanted to get out of town, obviously.
Yep.
And my dad comes home and he's like, "This guy's farming in Mexico." And I was like, "Okay," like, and I said, "I'm gonna call him up." And I hit him up and I said, "Hey, I want to help you farm." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Well, my Nebraska farms, my Colorado farms." And I said, "No, the farms you're gonna start in Mexico." He's like, "All right, let's do it." So I went over there, met with him, and actually, I liked farming with my dad growing up in high school and stuff, but I really didn't have the love for it,
Yeah.
honestly, until I went there. Went there on my own, worked with some other people, and just found the love for farming in a sense of just like planting something, watching it grow all year, and turning it into something and a product, and turning it for money. So it was like that was kind of the whole start in Mexico. Went there for 3 months, started helped them start the farms. I mean, we were like driving the sprayer off the ship, and there was little motorcycles like riding underneath us and stuff. So it was definitely an experience that I've never been around. I didn't know the language at all.
Right.
Knew enough to keep me out of jail, and that was about it. So, but yeah, I mean that was a fun experience by any means. So then I farmed in Mexico for over 4 to 5 years. Just we did some renting. I rented my own ground down there, had my
Yeah.
own workers. So it was just definitely, but that was a business that I was like, okay, I'm gonna go down there twice a year. I'm gonna spend 3 weeks twice a year during those busy times and make it work. So it was fun, but it was like another experience. My dad was like, you're thin, you're you're making everything, you're walking on thin ice. Like you can't do building houses and have the gym and do farming in Mexico and all this different stuff. But I was like, I was 25 years old and I just felt like I was untouchable. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. And
Yeah.
if I fall straight on my face, I'm gonna come back and you're gonna I'm gonna work on the farm, right? So I didn't have a family yet. And that was my biggest thing. Like, as if I had any advice for entrepreneurs, if you don't have a family, you don't have relationships, if you don't have really too much responsibility,
Yeah.
go out,
Right.
fall on your face. Like, what I'm saying is, I know so many entrepreneurs that started and they had great luck with their first business. That usually doesn't happen, and then they had a great run and they're still doing it today. And then I know other ones that they just, this company didn't work. This company didn't work. We might have made it some money, but it was like, is it really going to is it really going to be that forever company,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, I grew up around my dad. We didn't really get ground handed to us. Like normally around our area, it was like
Right.
the great grandpa bought the ground
Yeah.
for like $10 an acre. My
Yeah.
dad, my dad went back. He bought the ground from my grandpa.
Wow.
His My mom's dad bought that ground, and he handed the check to my grandpa, and my grandpa handed the check to the banker. He said that was the saddest day because my grandpa worked his whole life doing that farm and literally handed the check to him, handed to the banker because that's what he owed.
Right.
So it wasn't like we got handed stuff. So my parents literally started those farms for us.
Wow.
So that's what I want to do for my kids in the future is I want to pass on not only the farms to them, hopefully a lot less money, owed to those farms that we owe now over the years, get those where they can just have that for their future, but then also the companies that I'm running right now that it's just going to pass down the line. So I'm just trying to follow in their footsteps, and I really, my parents were amazing. They were definitely who I am today, and why I am in business and what I do in my personal life and how I treat and act. Um, it's definitely a passion of mine is just to follow in their footsteps. So
I love it. Now, in the farming world, I mentioned earlier, but some tough times hit the community and family, and so you decide, hey, let's do this farm for a cure. And so, talk a little bit about the story that really spawns the whole idea, and then what you're still doing today for that project.
yeah, so I was I think it's going on 8 years now. I started Farm for a Cure. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, with ovarian cancer, and that was definitely a shock. I remember the day I was driving in the semi. We had a loaded up truck driving down the highway, and my dad called me and was like, you need to come up to the hospital. And I was like, what's going on? My mom went up for a little routine check. They were actually taking out her ovaries at the time, and they opened her up, and she was full of cancer.
Mm.
And I still remember that. Just stopped the semi on the side of the road and was just like, this has changes everything, right? It changes the outlook on stuff. It definitely changed me and my dad's outlook because we were the protectors. We were always ones like, whatever needs to be done, let's go do it.
Yeah.
This is the first time where we're just like, we had to hand that over to the doctors and say, okay, we can't do anything. We
Yeah.
can just keep her comfortable, be there for her and everything we can do, pray, but that's about it. So what I wanted to do was give back to the community. I also was selling some seed at the time, so I thought it would be a good idea to start this nonprofit called Farm for a Cure. So I started that, has a 501c3, and basically, it's Farm for a Cure is the name, but we like to keep the money local. If somebody's house burns down or if somebody's sick, anything like that, anybody that needs anything, a neighbor in need, we're there to help them.
So
So we
cool.
do benefits once a year. We raise the money, it stays all in the community. I have a board that's, from St. Ed that knows everybody. So when people say, hey, this person is done, we just shoot it in the text and we say, perfect. And somebody will go give them a check the next day or the next day. So it's just kind of nice to have that, the backbone of the community. And it's kind of cool how it all started. And obviously, losing my mom this last, 2 Februarys ago, that was this last year was my first event without her. So that was just a really tough event because it was just like she was, it was the reason why we started it was because of her.
Yeah.
But every event she was there and she was writing down the bids and she was doing the stuff and she was just like the backbone of that company or the nonprofit. And it was just very, you know, today she's still with us and helping us every way through us through the Farm for a Cure. So
You bet. Such a cool mission. And yeah, I definitely encourage people to check that out, whether it's you're in the Nebraska area and could make an appearance and attend, or if not, just being able to donate. Once again, great cause, great people. So love what you're doing there. Now, you talked about it, hey, we all like to have this sense of control, right? There's something that just makes you feel good about having control over situations. Don't know if you're, where your faith life is at or anything, but I tend to find that, people that have a faith life, oftentimes we say, hey, we trust God in the things that we do, but then it takes, unfortunately, usually an event for us to actually, put that trust in him versus, just continue to trust that we're going to do it. So I guess if you do have faith life, talk a little bit about that, from a faith aspect, and if not, just, your thoughts on, giving up control, because unfortunately, yeah, we don't always own the control of the situation.
right, yeah, I always say God's got a plan for everybody.
Yep.
It's ever since I lost my mom, it's been I can tell that she has guided me in the right
Mm.
direction. If it's with business, if it's with friendship, if it's with partners and different things like that, if it's with love life and all that different things, it's just like she's helped me, guide that way. Obviously, God, her, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, I truly believe that because it's just some of the things. I mean, there's no reason why I'd be in Texas right now, and and really happy with my life if it wasn't for the situations that I just got handed to. So
Yeah.
it was
I
just
love it.
that's definitely a God thing, and I truly believe that anything in business related, I mean everything. Obviously, you have to put in the work and you have to
Yep.
build the structure, but definitely there's somebody out there that they see our goals and they want us to do good in life, and I truly believe that. So
I love it. So we talked about the, photography and videography, and that really parlays us into the social media game. And so, social media has been important, but it just continues to evolve. And so, over the last year, you've seen it really evolve. So, talk a little bit about just getting started in that, and then, yeah, once again, some of the growth you've seen over the last year or so.
Yeah, no, so actually it's a funny story how it all started. So I was didn't really do too much. I did a little bit on Instagram, but my buddy came up to me and he had about 8,000 followers on TikTok. And he was like, "Oh, this is." And I was like, "I'm going to beat you in a week." And it literally, that's what I told him, right? So went out there, made like 2 or 3 videos, and it was growing, growing, growing. I ended up passing him in a week. I went from like 600 followers all the way up to like 10,000 in the first week. And then it just kept growing. And it was nice because I didn't really have like a super viral video. So it wasn't
Right.
like 10,000 to 200,000. It was like 10,000 and 20,000 and 30,000. And it just kind of went all the way up. So it's nice because it actually helps. Like I built my audience and the people that
Right.
actually follow me do follow me. And sometimes they, like my content. Sometimes they don't like my content. And it's like, you got to play that game in that sense of, um, you know, I always believe, and I tell anybody in social media that it's like, okay, I got my big videos. I have a lot of followers off. Like sometimes I'll gain 50,000, 100,000 off of one video.
Yeah.
But what did I do there?
Mm,
Right. So I try to mock up those ones that did good because I know that, 50,000 people followed me because of that piece of content. So sometimes
right.
it doesn't align with a lot of things that I do. Like, maybe me walking forward and looking, look at the camera, smiling, and like I normally would do. It's good content because it might push out 20, 30, 40,000 views guaranteed. But, do I want that in the long run? Like, probably not, and I'm going to start transferring some stuff over into my new brand that I'm just going to be building and be launching this next month. So that's exciting news. So, but
Well, we'll be on the
yeah,
lookout for it. I love it.
yeah, yeah, it's going to be plant the seed. So basically, it's going to be revolved around my social media and kind of the information that I'm giving to others through my messages. And I'll be using my voice more and just wanted to plant the seed. And it kind of goes back to my roots, me being a farmer, but it's not just
Right.
planting the seed like that, but it's planting the seed of like, hey, this is how you should live your life. This is how you should treat your, fiance or your wife or your girlfriend, or this is how you should act in the gym, or this is how you should do. I mean, it's kind of everything, and helping people just share the knowledge. So
I love it. Well, and I love it. And once again, it's been a consistent theme through your story, but just how you use your platform to benefit others, right? Hey, take what you're doing and help others. So through the growth of social media, there's been two really important things. One is the reason that you're in Texas right now. So let's just talk a little bit about how that came to be.
yeah, so this is kind of a funny story, but so my girlfriend right now, Brittany Bailey, is she's on social media and I was on social media, and I had a video. It was just like God will show you the way, or God will guide you. Just sit back and smile. God's got you, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
In the post. And I think I got like 9,000 likes on that video, that just like in a couple hours. And I remember sitting down, and usually it only shows you the like 2 people, and then
Yeah.
it says 9,000 afterwards. So, and she was one of them. So I clicked on her, and I seen that. I was like, okay, she's got her own boutique. She's got some clothes. Like, I'm like, I kind of liked her vibe. So that's exactly what I said. I'm like, I like your vibe. Like, how's it going?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And little did I know, she had a little semi crush on me. I didn't know this at the time, but she had a little crush on me, which is whatever. But it was crazy how it all kind of gathered together. And I was just actually getting out of a serious relationship. And so it was kind of a waiting game. It was like, okay, I'm not ready to start anything.
Yeah.
Let's just talk for a while. So we ended up talking for a bit, and then we started hanging out come January, and then it kind of led into the relationship we have today. It's really strong. So I'm super excited about that. That's my biggest thing that I could gain off of social media would have been the relationship I have with her and her kids. So it's just amazing.
Absolutely. Well, if you're debating creating that piece of content, do it. Who knows who's gonna see it, that it might turn into a
Right.
relationship. I
Right.
love it.
That's why I'm like, when I said my mom's got something to do with that,
Yeah.
because it's just like when I said that about God showing you the way, guiding you to the right person. And then she comes up and I was like, I told her this later on. I said, that post, like, that was the post. And she looked back at the post, and then she looked at the time when I messaged her, and it was the same date. And she's like, no way, that's crazy. So it's just kind of a cool story. We'll definitely have a video and kind of tell that story once we get further down the road. So,
You bet. I love it.
but
Now, additionally from that, once again, kind of having the social media influence and having a little bit of the country roots, getting an opportunity to enter into the country music world. So talk a little bit about the opportunities that you've had there.
yeah, so I mean, I didn't know too much about like how much money you could make on influencing and different things like that. So I learned from Brittany and a couple other people that I've talked to about it in that world, and I started getting into using people's sounds, and that
Yeah.
was kind of a big thing. Like Corey Kent, I've worked with
Yeah.
him a bunch, worked with some other people, worked with some closer friends that just, hey, here's a couple $100, here's whatever for a post, which I'm just like, I have to make the post anyway, so I'm like, perfect. This is a little added income that I like. So,
No doubt.
and that kind of led into, I had this friend in North Carolina that he does videography and stuff, and he had been following me and different stuff. And we had a music video that was coming out, and it was Craig Henry's got a new song coming out, and I actually just shot this last week, and yeah, it's pretty badass. So we're super excited, and that was the first time I was not like behind a camera in a music video. So it was super weird because they were like, "Hey, we want your creative thought on these different scenes and different stuff." But I mean, we had a wreck scene where we had the fire department out and
Oh,
like
dang.
smoke and stuff, where I come out and the fire department takes me, and puts me on the back of the thing, because I wrecked this like 1969 like Camaro that's super super nice. So I'm like, it was going to be on a trailer, and they were going to shoot through the windows and stuff on the trailer. And then there was
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, well, the trailer's too far away. We can't do this. So now it's like, okay, Donnie, you have to drive it. So I'm like, okay, we can do this. No big deal. It's like $150,000 car.
No
And
big
it's like,
deal.
yeah, no big deal. And it's like super souped up. So it's like not easy to drive. So it's like zoom, 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 like pushing forward and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. They banged out the edit right away. Like I already seen it. I already seen it like a couple days ago. So they had it done like in 3 days because they had it all structured out. But it's gonna be a banger, that's for sure. Like it was fun. We had the car wreck scene, and then we had a bar scene, and then we had me at the mechanic shop working on a truck scene, and then we had me like trying to chase after this Camaro that was kind of like an imaginary Camaro now at the time, right? I
Yeah.
was thought I was seeing something. So there's a lot of there's a lot of cool thought into this music video that we're really excited to launch. So that'll be the song launches the 16th of June, and then a week later the music video will be out. But I'll be posting content, so just take a look at that.
I love it. Now, hearing all of the different things you're doing, I think so many people out there tell you, like the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, right? Like, hey, know that one thing that you're good at, delegate the rest, don't even entertain those things. And you get other people that they're serial entrepreneurs, right? They do multiple things or they have multiple passion projects. And so unfortunately, they maybe can't give 100% of their time to this one topic, right? Because they've got 4 or 5 other things going on in their world. What would be, your advice? Obviously, you've gone into certain areas and said, that's not for me, and I'm going to delegate more time to other areas. But you've also haven't just picked that one thing, you've said, hey, I got multiple interests and I want to spend my time doing multiple things. So talk a little bit about that, or what would your advice be on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think just sticking with your passion, I mean, obviously, I could say that all day because I'm lucky enough to work in my passion. So a lot of
Yeah.
people aren't. Um, but if you're going to do something that you're actually building a company and you're wanting to run with that company, you have to have that passion and that drive that you're willing to put in the long hours,
Mm.
put in the weekends, do the stuff extra because people are like, they always see, oh man, you guys are killing it. Well, it's like, this is year three,
Yeah, right, right.
right? You should have
Yeah,
seen us on year 1 and 2 where we weren't making jack shit, right? So, I mean, some people
yeah,
get lucky and they make money right away, and some people don't. It's having that grind and having that passion that can drive through there, and then just enjoying it. Like, I
yeah,
love the freedom of being able to do multiple different companies, but also knowing my limits. So I've learned in my past and how I was failed in my past, I just thought I could do a lot of different things, right?
yeah,
So now I just stay in my lane. So it's like that's why I build a team. So I'm like, you're really good at sales. I can sell, but I want to stay in my lane. I want to be in the creative, the marketing side,
nice.
help you sell with these materials, with this thing that we've grown together. Right. And it's kind of a cool, I like the team atmosphere. It's fun when we win a project or when we do stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's like the celebration together, right? Get a FaceTime group. Like I FaceTime me and my two partners right now. We're just on a FaceTime. Like we FaceTime probably 3 times a day. It's like, oh yeah, like we got this, and it's fun,
yep,
So I would say find the right people to work with that are passionate about the same thing, and then just know their weaknesses.
mm,
So here's another thing too, is like if you're willing to bring on a partner that might be good at something, but maybe they have some extra debt, or maybe they have some different things that you don't have.
yeah,
Know where it's at and know where you need to give and take. I don't like I have a company right now that I'm like, I don't really care about making any money this year.
yeah,
I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of, and I want to ensure that our relationships are strong and the company grows, but I'm like, I don't need to take any money out, right? So that's the
yep,
difference between certain partners, I'm be able to give and take because there's going to be a time where I'm going to need maybe money or I'm going to
right,
need that. And they're going to remember that time where I'm like, okay, this is where I stand. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to focus on to build the stronger core unit. Cause I do have funds coming from other places that maybe they don't. Right. So I'm like, you
absolutely,
take a little bit more percentage this year. Next year, I'll take a little bit more. Right. So there's a little give and take there that you need to work with your partners and just know where they're at financially, where they're at in their relationships, like just know their life, right?
yeah,
And then become their best friend. Like that's what I would say, and just enjoy it. Like if you're gonna spend time with a guy that you don't like and have to talk to the son of a bitch every day, you're gonna hate yourself, and you're not
right,
gonna like the business. So it's like if you guys can have fun and joke around and laugh and be like, man, you need a haircut, like it's terrible right now, right? You say something like that and then enjoy it. And it's like, is this really work?
yeah,
Right? So if you can have that relationship with your job and with your career, I just think it makes it go a lot further, right? And it makes it fun. And it's like, I mean, and then you can build something that, you know, I love building things, right? That's
yeah.
why I like the entrepreneur side of it. It's like there's nothing here right now. Let's build this company and now we have something. And now we can sell something if we want, or we can keep growing it and give it to our kids. That's my ultimate goal. So
I love it. Now, there's a couple things that as I hear you speaking, I want to dive into. And one is, being able to take your ego out of it. I think a lot of the times people aren't good partners or don't want to partner because then it's not just what I want, or I have to admit that someone might be better at something than I'm not as good at it. And once again, when you say it like, well, yeah, but that would help your business grow, it makes 100% sense. But for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, but me having to admit that, not worth it. So talk a little bit about just taking ego out of it and saying, well, what's the best, for the long term, right? Not just, hey, for right now.
yeah, I mean, it all depends on where you're at and how you set the business.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you own it and you have your core partners that own it, the percentage, if you bring anybody in, I always use this effect of it's called the umbrella effect, right? And sometimes people you don't want to tell your workers you're using this, but the
Yeah.
same, or your employees,
Yeah.
but at the same time as you want to have that protection of them not leaving,
Right.
right? So I would rather give you more percentage up front and take less. We'll make more over the next years or in the clients, the contracts going forward. We want to take care of you right now, but also at the same time is want to give you percentages over the next couple of years, depending on the company and the growth of it. But that umbrella is like if they walk out, they're going to be in the rain,
Right.
right? And they can't take that with you, right?
Yep.
So if it has to do with video, if it has to do with any different business, you have assets that you can bring them. If it's services, if it's different, if it's QuickBooks, whatever it is, right? They either, if they're going to want to go out by themselves, because I like the entrepreneurs hiring entrepreneurs, but
Yeah.
the problem is hiring entrepreneurs is they're going to be like, well, geez, Donnie just pulled in like 20 grand on this project. I want to go try to do this myself, right? And
Yes.
how do you make it fair for them? And how do you make it engaging that it's like, hey, we're going to go on trips, we're going to go do this stuff. It's that umbrella of like, hey, we're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to build a company, you want to be able to do that. And also, like, if anybody has questions out there about doing this, definitely reach out to me, DM me, whatever. Because I do coaching, different things on the side. So it's
I
fun.
love it. Well, and so that kind of segues into the last thing or the second thing I want to mention earlier, which I think is perfect. And that is, I don't want to give us small Nebraska boys, too much credit here, but there is that element of, you said earlier, hey, I do things on a handshake. I that's just the way I do business. There's that trusting element. And I think, as you do meet people across the country, you start realizing like that's not always normal, right? Like a lot of people, have experienced the person that's purely out for them. And, hey, if it's good for me, then it's good for me. But really, the person was just there to make a deal for me. So talk a little bit about, maybe the small town roots and just, that element for you in business at this stage.
Yeah, I think that it's it's going to get worse. The generations, it's going to get
Yeah.
worse. So
Yeah.
right now, and my sense is like I said, I do well off of handshakes. I just literally thought in my head, my grandpa had a town team pickup basketball game every every other night, right? Six
Yeah.
o'clock. If he says, "Hey, everybody's gonna show up at 6 o'clock," people are gonna show up,
Yep.
right? And this generation with cell phones and with the tablets and with everybody glued to the screen, are they gonna show up at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing is right. The generation has changed. So it's like, how are we going to pivot to be able to build that into the new people that are coming into our businesses and the stuff like that? Where now I'm big on relationships, and that's what
Yeah.
any of my partners will know that my biggest thing is building the relationships and helping them know the factor of, hey, we this is how we run it, and this is how it needs to be ran,
Yeah.
and that's small town roots. That's, you know, laughing and having fun with clients is good, but at the same time is like for them to respect you and know that, hey man, we're in good hands. We are in good hands, right? And that's
Yep.
the thing is sometimes the ego, that's what you said before. Some people can put the ego in front of them and they're like, well, we can get it done, but maybe we can make a little bit more money doing this, doing that, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
outsourcing it. It's like if you're going to tell a client you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I tell a client, hey, the budget's not there for me,
Yep.
I can get it done. I can edit it for you, but I got to outsource the videography. Tell them straight up, you want me or not? You're still
Yeah.
going to get my vision. I'm going to tell them what to shoot, but you can't afford me to go out and shoot it yourself myself. So
Yeah.
that's just something like that experience, right? And that's kind of how I do anything in business. It's like just tell the client straight up, hey, this is what we can do for you. This is what we're going to deliver, and then deliver it,
Yep.
right? And if you're late, just like if you know it's going to be late, make sure tell them 2 days prior. Be like, hey, we're running behind. Sorry,
Yep.
this is shit happens. They'll understand, but just don't come the day that they think it's going to get delivered, whatever it is in
Yep.
business, and think it's going to be okay by texting them before or saying, oh, and I've my gym was the hardest working with this generation. They
Yeah.
text you like a minute before they were going to be there. Oh, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you work the night shift. Like it's 3 o'clock. Like you're saying you were sick at 2:55.
Yeah.
Like you just got sick. No, like yeah, if it's 5:30 in the morning and they text me, that's fine. But
Right.
like that's the thing. It's like, come on, guys. Like it's not that hard, and it's just a respect thing. My biggest thing is
Yes.
just respecting the people that you work with, respecting your clients, and building it off the roots that a small town, the roots that I just grew up on, right? When you say
Yep.
you're going to be there, you're there. And also that comes back to coaching and my team atmosphere. It's like
Yeah.
15 minutes early is on time, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
what the coach has said. 15 minutes early is on time. So I have to tell her this, saying, "Hey, 15 minutes early is on time.
Hey,
Like we
I
got to
hope
get out
I'm
the
not
door
getting you
right
in the
now. Let's
doghouse.
go."
I hope I'm not getting you in the doghouse. You just learned,
I
hey, if
looked
we
over. She doesn't know what's going on, so we're good.
if you gotta leave at 2:30, you tell her we're leaving at 2:15, so she'll actually be ready by the time you
All
need to
right.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
No,
love it.
that's good.
Well, and a word that
So,
or a phrase that comes to mind as you say that, that we tell people frequently, to be clear is to be kind, to be unclear is to be unkind, right? It's hey, most people can handle the truth if it's delivered one in the right way directly, but two, to your point, with enough time where they don't have time to prepare for, whatever it is that's coming next.
right.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, Donnie,
100%.
I appreciate you sharing these pivotal moments, man. I'm excited to continue to watch your journey unfold and the new brand that's coming out. I mean, the next business, I'm sure it'll be here in 6 months. I mean, the way your mind works. But
Right.
where can people find you on different handles?
Yeah, so it's Donny Baker underscore, and that's the only one I have. So this is crazy because I have like 30 fake accounts on TikTok, like people trying to mimic me or trying to scam people. So it
Yeah.
sucks. And then same thing with Instagram. I hit up the Instagram. I'm like, hey, take this account down, and they're like, they're not breaking any community guidelines. Like, how are they not? They're
Yeah.
just trying to scam people with my shit. It's
Falsely
like, so Donnie
impersonating. That's
Baker underscore. Yeah.
Donnie Baker
Yeah.
underscore.
Donnie Baker, Donny Baker underscore. That's, you'll find me on Insta and TikTok. So
I love it.
DM me, whatever you want. So,
I love it. Well, brother, I appreciate your time sharing the moments. Thanks so much.
yep. That sounds great. Thank you.